Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith TB. Here are the top stories of this hour. Borno Deputy Governor, over 100 others escape plane incident. 5 members of House of Representatives dump Labour Party for ruling All Progressives Congress. Rescue operation underway in Mpumalanga, South Africa for trapped miners. Details shortly. And let's begin by telling you that Borno State Deputy Governor, that's Umar Kadafur, and over 100 other passengers narrowly escaped a tragic incident that when a Max Air aircraft experienced an engine fire shortly after takeoff from Maiduguri International Airport. The incident occurred around 7 p.m. on Wednesday when the aircraft en route to Abuja suffered engine failure caused by a bed strike about 10 minutes into the flight. The pilot and crew managed to execute an emergency landing back at Maiduguri Airport, averting disaster. A Max Air staff member who spoke on condition of anonymity confirmed the incident on Thursday morning. Following the emergency landing, passengers were reportedly in a state of panic, with many opting to carry their luggage and return home rather than board another flight. And now to security matters, where the police have pointed fingers at the newly formed terror group Lukarawa as the mastermind of an explosion that occurred around the Dansudu Gausa road in the Maru local government area of Zamfara State on Wednesday. Zamfara State Police Commissioner Mohammed Dalijan said members of the dreaded insurgent group were seen around the scene of the incident shortly before the explosion. Dalijan said planting of explosive devices was a new development in this northwest state. He said though Zamfara has had a long battle with deadly bandits, they don't have the capacity to plant explosive devices. Now, meanwhile, military authorities have promised to eliminate Lukarawa insurgents and other terror groups like Boko Haram and the Islamic State West Africa province ISWAP. Earlier, Mustafa Jafaru Kauri, the senior special assistant to the Zamfara State Governor on broadcast media, press and public affairs, spoke to us on this development. Take a look.
The State Commissioner of Police, Sheikh Mohammed Dalijan, yesterday granted interview to newsmen, telling them that their preliminary investigation showed that it is Lukarawa, a new set of bandits or criminals that is ravaging Sokoto, Kebbi, and probably they have now get their way to Zamfara. But of course, whether they are Lukarawa, whether they are the bandits or Ansaru, any name, they are bandits of whatsoever name. And the Zamfara State government, under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. Dauda Lawal, is fighting criminal and criminality head-on in Zamfara in collaboration with the sister security agencies and community protection guard established by the Zamfara State government. And they are getting, they are now getting, successes, recording successes over the banditry in that area. I want to cast your mind back a little bit that those areas were the initial areas where this banditry activity started about 11 to 12 years ago. So they are predominantly there, and then the security agencies under the Operation Fansayama, and then that of the collaboration with the State government of community protection guards are now winning war against the bandits, and that is why they are now, devising this means of planting explosives to innocent people, and then people are become victims of their heinous crime.
And now to further discuss this, we're joined by former Vice Chairman, Zamfara Committee on Prosecution of Bandits and Related Offences, Abdullahi Shinkafi. Abdullahi, wonderful to have you join us today. Let's just get started and talk about, just the role that signal intelligence and human intelligence play in preventing bombings in regions. For example, Zamfara in this case. How can these methods be improved for better, threat detection?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
There is need for improvement in intelligence gathering, and also there's need by the locals to give a vital information to security agencies, then for them to work on the information and strike against the criminal element in the state. This is a heartbreaking, and it has taken another dimension. This criminal element called armed bandit are outlaws. Outlaws are non-state actors, and most of the places they operate are ungoverned spaces because of the shortage of the security agencies. So there is need for internal security to be very vigilant in gathering intelligence gathering, so that they are now transmitted to the action agencies to strike against these criminals. You see, it is clearly a diversionary actions by the criminal elements. Some reported that the armed banditry have taken another dimension, turning to terrorism, bombardment of innocent lives. So it is very dangerous now. It is going to be very difficult for people to travel by road in Zamfara State.
Right.
And we have no any airport in Zamfara State. Yeah, so the government has to do everything humanly possible. That is security agencies.
Right.
Has to do everything humanly possible to curtail this criminal element. People are talking that these are some of the remnants of the Lakrawa who have migrated from Sokoto, from Kebbi, trying to cross Birnin-Gwari border, and they come through Zamfara. This Lakrawa issue had been for more than 6 years in Tangaza, Bali, in Sokoto state axis. The security agencies have given an intelligence report to action agencies, but the action agencies were so reluctant to flush out this criminal. And historically, if you look at the historical background of Boko Haram, how it was founded, how it started. It was founded in 2002 by the founder of Boko Haram, Set. That is Muhammad Yusuf.
Mr.
Haram started using arms.
Mr. Shingafi, I would like for us to talk also about, the far hard to reach areas in Zamfara. As Zamfara has a large landmass, and I know that there are hard to reach areas, in Zamfara. There are also places in Zamfara that are high risk zone as well. Now, you've talked about the importance of government doing their best when it comes to counter-terrorism. But what are some effective strategies that they can employ, if you can, prefer some solutions, please? Especially to be implemented, in rural or hard-to-reach areas.
The solution the government can employ, the solution the security agency can employ in fight against this criminal element is to improve in the border security. We have a porous border. We share border with Niger Republic. From Zurmi local government, Shinkapi local government, we share border with Niger Republic. So it is easy for this criminal element to smuggle arms and ammunition through the porosity of the border on government space. So there's need for security agents to improve in the border control, and they also improve intelligence security gathering. And the locals should give a very important information to the security agencies, that is members of the public. So, and that should be an improve in the community policy. The state governor have been doing well, trying to improve in the security by using this community protection guards. But this community protection guard need to be motivated, need to be appreciated. The government has to deploy more logistics in assisting them to curtail these criminal elements. And also the conventional security. The federal government has to do everything humanly possible to crush this criminal element in their hideout. They should take the war to their hideout, not be staying on the highway. You understand? Right. So the new security, the new of army staff should work in synergy with the chief of air staff and chief of naval staff and other security agencies.
Mr. Abdullahi,
fight against this criminal element.
So clearly coordinated efforts by all, like with all joint task force, whether it's the army, the military, or navy, to make sure that, you know, the rural areas and the hard-to-reach areas in Zamfara is safe. But let's also talk about public safety measures.
Yes, including the police.
Yeah, let's also talk about, you know, public safety measures, especially for citizens. We understand there's a lack of trust deficit. You know, there's a trust deficit, I beg your pardon, when it comes to the police and civilians. You know, when it comes to the ordinary Nigerian, they have issues trusting whatever security agency. So what public safety measures should be taken in high-risk zones to educate civilians about identifying and avoiding bomb threats, especially...
There are some public safety measures that the civilian should have to take into consideration when traveling on the highways, or especially going to Zamfara state to avoid being kidnapped or...
We seem to have lost Mr. Abdullahi Shinkafi there. Mr. Abdullahi Shinkafi just speaking to us about the recent bomb threat at Zamfara State. Move away from that, still staying with security matters, though. Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, Olufemi Oluyede, has restated the commitment of the Nigerian Army to prioritize the welfare of its officers and men in order to improve troops' efficiency. Now, this was made known when the General Officer commanding 3 Armored Division and Commander Operation Safe Haven, Major General Abdusalam Abubakar, presented electric motorcycles to 16 best-performing soldiers of the division. News Center's Chizoba Anyowe tells us more.
At this event, 16 soldiers were honored with 16 electric motorcycles, 1 each, for exceptional performances in their various formations and units of operation. According to the General Officer commanding 3 Armored Division and Commander Operation Safe Haven, Major General Abdusalam Abubakar, it is a sustained initiative aimed at recognizing exceptional performances as part of the Chief of Army Staff's commitment to prioritizing troops' welfare.
The General Officer Commanding's presentation of these gift items today aligns with the current drive of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General O.O. Oluyede, towards sound administration and the welfare of troops. The division recently benefited from various interventions by Army headquarters aimed at enhancing troops' welfare, including the renovation and construction of new accommodation, new offices complex, and the provision of resources to enable personnel effectively carry out their duties.
According to him, the initiative is also aimed at improving the transportation challenges among these troops, as well as reduce dependence on fossil fuel by personnel.
The gesture of rewarding the deserving soldiers with electric motorcycles is aimed at reducing dependence on fossil fuel by personnel, while also underscoring the division's commitment to environmental sustainability. The electric motorcycles are both efficient and eco-friendly and will serve as a sustainable mode of transportation within the cantonment.
I will also like to thank the General Officer Commanding 3 Division, Commander Operation Safe Haven, for all his blessing and guidance upon all the soldiers of this cantonment. We thank you, sir, for your gift and your blessing. May Almighty God continue to be with you, sir.
The recipient soldiers were delighted at receiving the electric motorcycles, a gesture which will clearly motivate others to up their performances. From the 3 Division Maxwell Kobe Cantonment in Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyowe.
And now to politics. As plenary resumed at the House of Representatives on Thursday, 5 lawmakers of the Labour Party, LP, have defected to the All Progressives Congress, APC. They are Esosa Iyawe Edo, Tochukwu Okere Imo, Donatus Matthew Kaduna, Basi Akiba and that's from Cross River, and Doliop from Plateau. Also, a lawmaker, Iriatake Ibori Sunu, is from Delta, Dom the People's Democratic Party, PDP, for the APC. Now, the now former Labour Party lawmakers cited division within their party as the main reason for their defection. After over 20 years of its formation, pro-workers political organization Labour Party made inroads into mainstream politics during the 2023 elections as the party got 6 Senate and over 34 House of Representatives seats. It was only a matter of time. Move on away from that, as retired military personnel protested at the Federal Ministry of Finance in Abuja on Thursday, demanding unpaid entitlements. The retirees accused the government of withholding a promised 20% to 28% salary increment for January to November 2024 and payments for palliatives from October 2023. They also demanded an additional 32,000 naira added to pensions bulk payment of the security debarment allowance and refunds for deductions from medically boarded soldiers. Protesters brought mats, chairs, and canopies, vowing to remain until their demands are met. Colonel Innocent Azubike, retired, decried the hardships caused by unpaid entitlements, adding that promised payments in November were delayed due to a lack of cash backing. President Bola Tinubu has returned to Nigeria after his official trips to France and South Africa. The Nigerian Air Force One that conveyed Tinubu touched down at the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport at about 9:10 p.m. local time on Wednesday. Now, the president was received by Abdullahi Ganduje, national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Femi Gbajabiamila, the chief of staff, and Nyesom Wike, minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nuhu Rubadu, the national security advisor, among other top government officials. Tinubu was in France from November 27th to December 1st for a 3-day state visit at the invitation of his French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron. On December 1st, he left France for Cape Town to co-chair the 11th session of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission BNC meeting alongside President Cyril Ramaphosa. Welcome back once again to Mr. President. We're going to show a break here on News Now on News Central Television, but when we return, Delta State Governor Sheriff Oboriwori threatens to sanction erring public officials. We'll tell you all about that after the break. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. The Nigerian Bar Association has called for the release of human rights lawyer Dele Farotimi over allegations of libel levied against him. Now, a statement by the President Afam Osigwe on Wednesday said his arrest was a breach of the rule of law. Contending that defamation had since been decriminalized in Lagos State, the NBA maintained that Farotimi's arrest was not only in clear violation of legal principles, but an affront to the rule of law. The association urged all law enforcement agencies to prioritize respect for human rights and adherence to the principles of legalities. Off to Delta State, South Nigeria, where the governor, Sheriff Oboriwori, warned that he would not fail to sanction any public official found wanting in the discharge of their duties or whose conduct is established to be at variance with the administration's vision and mandate. Governor Oboriwori handed down the warning at the inauguration of chairmen and members of some commissions and boards in Asaba. Those inaugurated include Delta State Sports Commission, Joshua Onoriode Oboriwori as chairman, among other boards, chairmen and members.
Hence, you must brace up and hit the ground running. There's no time to waste. Let me make it clear that this administration will not fail to sanction any public official who is found wanting in the discharge of his duties or whose conduct is found to be at variance with our vision and mandate.
Sincerely, Your Excellency, there's none of us here that is not prepared to give out our best to serve their hands and ensure that you succeed and your administration and Delta in particular succeeds.
Gender rights advocates in Nigeria have called for a more coordinated approach in responding to cases of sexual and gender-based violence in the country. Now, this was during a public dialogue on the implementation of decisions reached by the ECOWAS Court of Justice against Nigeria during several court hearings. Our correspondent Joshua Imarayi reports.
As part of activities marking the 16 days of activism, the Institute for Human Rights and Development in Africa, in partnership with other pro-transparency organizations, hosted a public dialogue in Nigeria's federal capital, Abuja. The discussion centered on the implementation of judgments by the ECOWAS Court of Justice, bordering on cases of gender-based violence, where victims of domestic violence in Nigeria were denied justice.
Today, we are not only here to reaffirm our commitment to the eradication of gender-based violence, but also to underscore the critical role that regional human rights mechanisms, such as the ECOWAS Court, play in ensuring justice for survivors and accountability for duty bearers, and hopefully, ultimately, holding the perpetrators of gender-based violence accountable.
So when things happen and we cry out and say, these things have hurt us, it's because we hope that the leadership is going to refine the methods with which the leadership engages with us. Because primarily, what is leadership without people to lead? If we don't get the damages awarded to us, it still feels like justice denied.
Stakeholders present at the engagement say there is a need for coordinated efforts in addressing cases of gender-based violence.
For stakeholders, for practitioners, for civil society organizations who are within the space, we should have a coordinated response mechanisms of approaching to all of these issues. So if you are able to come together as one and not carry on these battles as individual organizations, but come together as one, have a coordinated approach to responding to all of these cases, I think that also could also help to hold and ensure justice is served and accountability is held at every point in time.
Participants also add that they hope that the dialogue will deepen the public's understanding of the mechanisms involved by the ECOWAS Court of Justice in reaching its decisions and bridge the gap between the court's judgment and the quest for justice. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
Nigeria's Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy has announced plans to expand the recognition of the nation's heritage sites beyond the Sukkur cultural landscape in Adamawa and the Osun-Osogbo Sacred Grove in Osun State. Minister Hannatu Musawa made this known during the close-out event of the UNESCO Netherlands Fund and Trust-supported projects for the Osun-Osogbo World Heritage Site, saying this will create more job opportunities for youths in the country. Also, representatives from the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands and UNESCO expressed optimism that their quest to protect the site will help preserve the cultural heritage of the nation.
The fact that Nigeria only has two sites, Sukkur and now Osun-Osogbo, to me, it's really too minimal. It's not enough for a country like Nigeria that has many expressions of, cultural sites. I think we need to expand it, and we're working in tandem with UNESCO to ensure that within the next couple of years we expand it exponentially to ensure that Nigeria has a number of sites that are recognized under UNESCO.
The Netherlands has been very pleased to contribute to the preservation and restoration of the Osun-Osogbo Grove. It's really representing a key element of the rich cultural heritage of Nigeria. And the preservation of this rich cultural heritage is something that Netherlands and Nigeria and other UNESCO member states we share.
This project that we are closing today, it's a contribution to support Nigeria to address these challenges that are around Osun-Osogbo, and it has been made possible thanks to the generous donation of the Kingdom of Netherlands.
Building a resilient business in a struggling economy like Nigeria has been a major concern for many business owners, hence the need for strategies by critical stakeholders to foster entrepreneurship in the country. Now, some Nigerian business owners believe building resilient industries start with finding solutions to the challenges facing entrepreneurs. News Central's Omolola Ololade has more in this report.
At a time when many countries, including Nigeria, are going through economic uncertainty, building a resilient economy becomes paramount for elevating the economy to greater heights. This has once again brought to the fore conversations around building resilient industries at a business conference where critical stakeholders highlighted some of the challenges faced by business owners while creating practical solutions.
The call for building resilience is, it's very, very key to just get businesses through. We're ending the year, we're going into a new year, so we thought that it was a very timely message to encourage businesses to keep, being resilient in tackling all of these challenges and finding creative ways to stay afloat.
Nigeria's present economic situation may have affected business owners as some companies have closed down while others struggle to stay afloat. Experts therefore emphasized on the need for companies, particularly manufacturing industries, to stay resilient at this difficult time.
Multinationals have left, which has been a shame, but that does not underestimate the significant opportunity that is still available for those that are willing to double down on investing in Nigeria. So it's having the foresight, having the patience, and having the skin in the game as Africans and Nigerians to stay and to take the challenges with the opportunities, but the ones that stay here for the long term will reap the rewards and will yield the returns that I believe is possible if you double down here.
In the face of these challenges, women entrepreneurs are at higher risk of doing business, especially as accessing funds have remained a major difficulty for them.
Women entrepreneurs are not risky. They're not riskier than their male counterparts. They're paying back their loans in record time. They're creating profits and revenue in record figures. So the business case, the justification is there. The data is there. The insights are there. The information is there that women should be invested in. They are prudent investors. They make meaningful decisions, not just for the business, for the family. And it's about time that we prioritize, as a global economy, investing in African women.
While challenges exist, Nigeria has the potential to build a resilient and prosperous economy with the right strategies, according to experts. In Lagos for News Central, I am Omolola Ololade.
The Managing Director of the Nigerian Port Authority, NPA, Abubakar Danchuho, has reiterated his commitment to revitalizing the dilapidated infrastructure in Nigerian ports to ensure competitiveness in international trade. Abubakar Danchuho disclosed this at the commissioning of the Maritime Workers Union Secretariat. Our maritime correspondent, Nioma Obiasulu, was at the event and filed in this report. Take a look.
It is the first time that a sitting managing director of the Nigerian Port Authority, NPA, will be visiting the Maritime Workers Secretariat. Abubakar Danchuho, during his visit to commission the Secretariat Annex, promised to ensure increased cargo call in the ports, modernize the ports to compete in international trade, and ensure the welfare of maritime workers are met. Danchuho further highlighted the importance of sound infrastructure in achieving port competitiveness, pledging to deliver the necessary infrastructure that meet Nigeria's domestic cargo needs and those of landlocked neighboring countries.
Can't be depending on a port that was built in 1977, which was Tinkan, and depending on a port that was built in 1958, which is Apapa. It's not possible for us to grow and participate more in international trade by depending on very old ports. So we need new infrastructures. We need new ports. We are going to expand and modernize the Tinkan and Apapa the way it is going to be improved. This is the commitment of this present government. So in a not so distant future, you will see new events towards improving infrastructure in Apapa and Tinkan. That's the commitment of Mr. President and our own Minister of Blue, Marine and Blue Economy, and it will happen very soon.
President General of the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria and his executives commended the plans of the MPMD and took the opportunity to share their expectations.
Having this man at the helm affairs of Nigeria Port Authority, I have 100% confidence in his leadership quality, and I know he's going to do well because it's from the grassroots. So he's going to be one of the best MD and one of the best appointments made by Mr. President of this great country, because he never made mistake of appointing our own. When I say our own, it's from the House, it's from the Port Authority itself. He was a trainee under Port Authority before he climbed to be a managing director of the country, of the port. So I have 100% in his leadership quality that is going to do more.
I want to say that the MD has made promises. For social gathering, one can see him as MD, but in the true essence of it, I think we have only a comrade leader who is welfare-oriented.
Stakeholders are with the reality of these promises in the days ahead. In Lagos, for News Central, Norma Obiaswalo.
Lagos State, the commercial hub of Nigeria, is set to host its first ever Lagos Shopping Festival, taking place from December 23rd to the 25th at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena on Lagos Island. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu made the announcement during the unveiling of the festival's symbol at the Lagos House in Ikeja. According to the governor, the initiative aims to boost commerce by supporting local businesses, attracting global brands, and generating employment opportunities. The festival is expected to create jobs across various sectors, including vendor operations, logistics, and event management, while offering an unforgettable shopping and entertainment experience for residents and visitors.
It's really about a convergence of the power of Lagos, where people can, at the location, bring everything about themselves, represent it, and let Lagosians transact in an environment that brings music, that brings culture, that brings arts, that brings shopping, that brings commerce, that brings everything under one roof. So it's really very audacious, but we believe it will work and it will work well. So that's why the government is supporting it. That's why we continue to be a strong enabler of strong initiatives like this. And what usually happens is usually the first one. Once you open up the first one, there's going to be a rat race. People will be, jumping on each other to want to be part of it. But that's really who we are.
Of course, Mr. Governor has given his own full support. Mr. Governor, the Minister of Tourism will continue to give you that wings to fly. We'll continue to make sure that people can see more of what your work through the Minister of Tourism. We'll continue to make sure that Lagos continue to win, Lagos continue to lead, and Lagos continue to compete globally. It's about from local to global.
Reminds me of an event used to be, which was the trade fair events that happened every year. Anyway, you're watching News Now on News Central Television. Coming up, Namibia's president-elect calls victory a breakthrough for women. Details after the break. Join us again. Hey, welcome back. We head off to Southern Africa, where the first woman to be elected president of Namibia, Natembo Nandi-Ndaitwah, has acknowledged the significance of her victory, calling it a breakthrough for women in the Southern African nation. In her remarks, she described her election as a moment that shatters the glass ceiling, paving the way for more women to assume leadership at the highest level. Aswapo was declared the winner of last week's disputed elections on Tuesday. However, the opposition has rejected the results, refusing to recognize Nandi-Ndaitwah's victory. Despite the controversy, the president-elect remains focused on her historic mandate.
Comrades, fellow Namibians, as a woman, I am the first to admit that my election to hold the highest office in the land is definitely one that is breaking the glass ceiling for a Namibian woman to lead at this level. In this context, it's not going to be business as usual, comrades. I love you all, but you might hate me, but hate me because I love you. And I want to do what is good for you. And I repeat, it's not going to be business as usual. We must have a radical shift in addressing the plight of our people, especially the downtrodden and the vulnerable communities. The time is now to address all known gray areas and challenges that we face without fear or favor.
And off to South Africa, where an urgent rescue operation is underway in Mpumalanga, South Africa, where over 100 illegal miners are trapped in an abandoned mine near Sabie. Now, authorities confirm 6 miners have surfaced, but 3 have tragically, died. Now, police say the miners were forced to work under life-threatening conditions. The rescue effort involves police, emergency services, government departments, private security, and landowners. Illegal mining, often fueled by unemployment, remains a dangerous reality in South Africa, claiming lives and threatening communities. Still in South Africa, no witnesses heard the accused plot the murder of Orlando Pirates and Bafana goalkeeper Senzo Meyiwa. Now, lead investigator Brigadier Bongani Ginada confirmed this during cross-examination in the Pretoria High Court on Tuesday. Now, the defense attorney pressed Ginada about the investigation and questioned the evidence behind the arrest of the 5 accused men. Ginada stated there is no witness who heard the murder being planned, but said a witness saw the suspects at a hostel before and after Meyiwa's killing. Now, the defense lawyer also asked about evidence of other intruders, and Ginada denied any such claims, but noted witness accounts of individuals near the scene. Now, proceedings ended early due to the interpreter's unavailability. You're watching news now on News Central Television. Still ahead. UK Prime Minister Starmer reveals plan for change in reset bid after 150 days. We have the details after the break. Join us again. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has unveiled a plan for change for Britain as he attempts a de facto relaunch of his government following a bumpy first 5 months in power. The PM said the government faces an almighty challenge to hit these milestones by the end of his parliament. Starmer branded Britain broken but not beyond repair as he spoke of the need for a mission-led government.
That will be a sign. Our plan for change is the most ambitious and credible programme for government in a generation. And we embrace the risk that comes with it. Because if there was no jeopardy, if there was no resistance, no blockages or impediments for us to remove, then as sure as night follows day, that will be a sign that we're not serious about delivering change. And I will never do that. The mandate was for change, and change is what we will deliver.
Amnesty International on Thursday accused Israel of committing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza since the start of the war last year, saying a new report was a wake-up call for the international community. The London-based rights organization said its findings were based on dehumanizing and genocidal statements by Israeli government and military officials. Satellite images documenting devastation, field work, and ground reports from Gazians. Amnesty International has also announced that it will publish a report on the crimes committed by Hamas during the October 7th attack, which resulted in the deaths of 1,208 people on the Israeli side, mostly civilians, based on official Israeli figures, which includes hostages killed in captivity.
At everything that needed to be considered, and at the end, the only reasonable conclusion that could be drawn is that Israel intended and intend to commit genocide. It may do so alongside its military objective. It may do so in addition to obliterate or get rid of Hamas. There is absolutely no doubt. We looked at all the evidence holistically together. We identified the pattern of conduct, the repetition of acts which could not be explained by recklessness, which could not be explained by lack of knowledge. We looked at the cumulative effect of these acts one after the other. We looked at the incredible impact of Israel's crimes over the last 14 months. We looked at the intent as being communicated by officials in the war cabinet, the statement that they made calling for genocidal act, and those very same acts happening shortly thereafter.
Crude oil prices were mostly stable on Thursday ahead of an OPEC Plus meeting later in the day, with investors waiting to see what the producer group would do next on supply cuts, while also monitoring geopolitical tension in the Middle East. Brent crude futures rose 6 cents or 0.08% to $72.37 a barrel by 0400 GMT. Now, while U.S. crude futures were at $68.61 a barrel, up 7 cents or 0.10%. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies in OPEC Plus are likely to extend their latest round of oil production cuts by at least 3 months from January, when its meeting, which started online at about 1100 GMT today. Ndubisi Anda has been appointed head coach of Nigeria National League NNL side Adel FC, succeeding Willie Udube and Anthony Idowu, who were recently dismissed. Anda, formerly with FC One Rocket, is the father of Super Eagles and Orlando Pirates defender Olisa Anda. He will debut as coach on Sunday, December 8th, when Anda FC faces Avia Comets in their season opener at Aqua City Stadium. The team, led last season by Udube, reached the round of 32 in the Federation Cup, and that has been introduced to the players as preparations intensify for their opening group fixture. And that's the Andal FC aims for an improved season on the new tacticians Guardians. Bayern Munich captain Manuel Neuer has received a 2-game ban in the German Cup after earning the first red card of his 866-game career during a 1-0 loss to Bayern Leverkusen. Now, the 38-year-old goalkeeper was sent off in the 11th minute for colliding with Jeremy Frimpong while rushing out to stop an attack. A German FA disciplinary committee confirmed the suspension for preventing an obvious goal-scoring opportunity without a goal being scored. Now, Leverkusen capitalized on Bayern's 10-man disadvantage, scoring victory with a second-half goal from Nathan Thaler. Now, Neuer apologized to his teammates on social media. With Bayern eliminated, the ban applies to next season unless the player retires or leaves German football as his contract ends this season. And that's all at this hour. Before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Borno Deputy Governor, over 100 others have escaped plane incident. 5 members of House of Representatives have dumped Labour Party for ruling All Progressive Congress. And we also told you that rescue operation is underway in Mpumalanga, South Africa, for trapped miners. Now remember that you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422. We're also on Star Times channel 274. You can also find us on Avo TV, or better yet, take us everywhere you go and stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Bye for now.